We are reading Treasure Island. Whoops, wrong way. And we are on Chapter 6, The Captain's Papers. We rode to Dr. Livesey's with the chief officer, Mr. Dance, leading the way. We knocked on the door, which was opened by the maid. "Is Dr. Livesey around?" asked Mr. Dance. "No, sir," said the maid. "He left in the evening to have dinner with the squire." "We will go to the squire's house," said Mr. Dance. At the squire's house, a servant led us down a passage to a grand library. The squire and Dr. Livesey were sitting by the fire, each with a pipe in his hand. This is the first time I had seen the squire closely. He was over 6 feet tall, broad in proportion, with a rough, ruddy face, reddened and lined because of his long travels. He quickly asked us the purpose of our visit, and after they heard us, Mr. Tronley, the squire, got up and paced the floor. "Mr. Dance," Dr. Livesey began, "you are a very noble fellow. I will consider you putting an end to the blind men as doing us a good deed. This boy Jim here is as good as gold, too." The doctor asked if I had the parchment scrolls with me. He took the oilskin packet into which I had placed them and put it in his pocket. Suddenly the doctor asked the squire if he'd heard of a man called Flint. "Heard of him? He is the most bloodthirsty buccaneer who ever sailed. All the pirates fear him." "Tell me," said the doctor, "if what I have in my pocket is some sort of clue to Flint's treasure, will the treasure be worth a lot?" "Oh, yes," replied the squire. "Very well. Now, if Jim agrees, we will open the packet," said the doctor. When the packet was opened, it contained two things, a book and a sealed paper. The doctor and I were puzzled by the strange markings and figures in the columns of the book, but the squire immediately understood what they were. "This is the rascal's account book." So it was. We turned our attention to the sealed packet. The doctor opened it carefully. A map fell out with notes and directions. Just past a hill marked the Spyglass was a note written in a handwriting different from that in the book, which said the bulk of treasure here. The back of the note had a few more directions leading to a place called Skeleton Island. "Livesey," said the squire, "you will give up your practice at once. I will go to Bristol first thing tomorrow. In 10 days I will get us the best ship and the best crew ever. Jim can come as our captain's boy. I'll be the admiral, you the ship's doctor, and we'll take Redworth, Joyce, and Hunter. The one man I am afraid of is you, Tronley, for you cannot keep a secret," said the doctor. "There are pirates out there who will kill for this map, who will take any risk to get what we have with us. We must stay together until we are at sea. I'll stay with Jim, but none of us must speak a word about this to anyone." The squire promised to be silent. Chapter 7, The Sea Cook. Our preparations took longer than we expected. While the doctor and the squire attended to their own businesses, I stayed at the hall under the watch of Tom Redruth, the gamekeeper. I spent hours studying the map, imagining how our adventures would be, but nothing I imagined was as strange and tragic as what had happened when our journey began. One day a letter arrived addressed to the doctor, but with instructions to have it read by Tom Redruth or me if the doctor was unavailable. Since Redruth couldn't read very well, I read it out loud. It was a letter from the squire stating that he had found a ship called Hispaniola. He even came across an old sailor who offered to be the ship's cook, and that could help get a crew together. His name was Long John Silver. He had lost a leg in the service of his country. Long John Silver not only assembled the crew, he also picked out his first mate, Mr. Arrow. The letter ended with the squire asking the doctor, myself, and Redruth to meet him in Bristol as soon as possible. He also added that I may spend only one night with my mother before we left. When I got back to the inn, I was happy to see my mother in good health. The squire had gotten the entire inn rebuilt and painted. The squire also sent my mother a young boy as an apprentice to help out in my absence. On seeing the boy, I realized that he had taken my place next to my mother, and that I was truly leaving home for a very long time. This thought brought tears to my eyes. I left the next morning, and soon the Admiral Benlow Inn was out of sight. We traveled to Bristol by train. The moment we stepped off, we headed toward the inn, where the squire was waiting for us. On our way there, I saw many ships. Though I had lived by the seaside all my life, I seemed never to have been this close to the sea itself. I was imagining my life as a sailor when the squire suddenly appeared before me. He was dressed like a ship's admiral in all of his finery. "Oh, sir," I cried, "when do we sail?" "Sail?" he answered. "We sail? tomorrow. The end of chapter 7.